images that are hard to fade from our memories. The losses and damages caused by Super Typhoon Yagi. Have you ever wondered why such a large typhoon appeared so suddenly? And how it had destructive power hundreds of times greater than typhoons at the same time in previous years? What is the mystery of nature in this case? Join us to discover the answer in this broadcast on the channel Suko Kuala. But first, let's review some numbers that show the terrifying power of this typhoon. Typhoon Yagi is the strongest typhoon ever recorded in the world. It is the strongest typhoon to make landfall in the South China Sea in the past 30 years, and it is the typhoon with the longest duration over mainland Vietnam ever. Additionally, Yagi is also the fastest intensifying typhoon in Vietnam's typhoon history. In just 8 hours, it intensified by 4 levels consecutively, from level 12 to level 16. Normally, typhoons making landfall in Haiphong and Quang Nguyen weaken into depressions after 4 hours, but this typhoon made landfall in Haiphong and Quang Nguyen and caused destruction for a long time, remaining stationary for 5 hours. Typhoon Yagi reached super typhoon level 16, with gusts up to level 17 on September 5th. It maintained level 16 intensity for over a day. After making landfall on Hainan Island, China, Super Typhoon Yagi only weakened by 2 levels to level 14, then quickly recovered as it passed through the Gulf of Tonkin. Therefore, when it made landfall in Vietnam, the typhoon maintained levels 12 to 13 throughout its 6-hour sweep of Quang Nguyen and Haiphong. By around 2000 on September 7th, the eye of Typhoon Yagi began to sweep from the north. Unlike ordinary typhoons, Yagi maintained level 10 winds, with gusts up to level 12, even deep inland. Due to the typhoon's terrifying intensity, despite prior preparations, the northern provinces still suffered severe consequences. As of 1300 on September 10th, a total of 146 people were dead or missing. Among them, the greatest losses were in the 3 provinces of Saogang, Lao Cai, and Yan'an. The property of residents and businesses was also severely damaged. Nearly 150,000 hectares of rice were flooded, 27,000 hectares of crops and 11,000 hectares of fruit trees were held. Nearly 1,600 aquaculture cages were swept away, mainly in Quang Nguyen. Tens of thousands of houses in Yan'an, Taiyuan, Lao Cai, Saogang, and Bajiang were deeply flooded from 0.5 to 1. Over 48,000 houses were severely damaged. Most notably, flooding on the Red River caused 2 spans of the Fong Chau Bridge in Fuzhou to collapse, leaving 13 people missing. By 1300 yesterday, only 3 of them had been rescued. In the face of nature's fury, losses continued to mount. A passenger bus on the road, carrying people returning to their hometowns, was completely buried under tons of soil and rocks from a landslide. Many families had to wake up and flee floods in the middle of the night because their roofs were completely torn off by a strong gust from the typhoon. Or many residents became penniless overnight because all the assets accumulated in their fish cages had washed out to sea. The tears on their faces almost blended with the rain pouring from the sky. In that emergency situation, we are forced to ask, why did this typhoon occur, and why was it so unusually strong? To answer this question, let's turn back time to August 30th. From a low-pressure area near Palau, about 540 kilometers northwest of this island nation in the Pacific, Yagi gradually formed. By September 1st, it officially became a tropical storm. The name Yagi means goat or the constellation market, given by the Japan Meteorological Agency, JMA. On September 2nd, Yagi made landfall in the Philippines and gradually weakened. However, when it entered the South China Sea, it unexpectedly encountered a high-level circulation system to the Linkayen Bay and quickly gained strength, becoming a peak convection area. Starting to rotate strongly and developing convective cloud bands stretching westward and toward Vietnam. Normally, super typhoons form in the northwest Pacific Ocean, and after entering the South China Sea, they usually weaken, so they have little impact on Vietnam. But Yagi strengthened right in the middle of the South China Sea, right at Vietnam's doorstep. That's why, when it reached northern Vietnam, it almost retained its full strength. Another characteristic of Typhoon Yagi is its unusually rapid intensification process. On September 2nd, the typhoon was only at level 8, but after 2 days, it had strengthened by 8 levels, and this is quite rare for storms in the South China Sea. The duration of maintaining level 16 for more than a day is also quite long compared to typical storms in the region. In addition, natural factors also contributed to strengthening Typhoon Yagi. Theoretically, warm seawater is one of the important factors contributing to the storm's strength. In the past 12 months, Southeast Asia has recorded unusually high sea surface temperatures. Normally, just seawater temperatures of 29 degrees Celsius or above can provide enough necessary energy for a storm to reach maximum strength. However, when Typhoon Yagi formed, the average seawater temperature around the Philippines reached 31 degrees Celsius, enough to turn Yagi into a true typhoon. Looking deeper, climate change is also considered a cause of this tragedy. When the ocean surface warms, the air above also heats up, increasing the amount of water vapor rising to form clouds. Simultaneously, it also causes the low-pressure area below to be drawn more strongly, creating conditions for multiple air currents to rush in. When these air currents accumulate into a cyclonic vortex, thunderstorms will form. If there are no strong winds to break it up, it will strengthen into a storm. So what does this mean? It means tragedies like Yagi won't stop, at least in the near future. Because the Earth is facing unprecedented warming. According to forecasts, even if warming occurs at a moderate level, average storm intensity will still increase by 14% by 2100. And if Earth's temperature rises to the maximum level, the consequences will be unpredictable. Currently, the world's seas are still recording abnormal warming. The average sea surface temperature in August 2024 reached 20.88 degrees Celsius. The second highest in history, only 0.01 degrees Celsius lower than the record in July 2023. Setting aside long-term stories for now, currently, people across the country are making efforts to overcome storm and flood damage through practical donation and relief activities. If in previous years, Northerners were busy sending relief goods to the central and southern regions, this year the shipments are going in the opposite direction. The intact leaves wrapping the torn ones. Like Guangmen, although the first province hit by the storm and suffering heavy damage, is still willing to give up 100 billion Vietnamese dollars in relief from the central budget to the northern. We cannot fail to mention the selfless sacrifices of the cadres and soldiers. When everyone runs away to avoid the storm, they rush in to provide relief, rescue, clean up, and overcome the consequences. There have been losses, but from within those losses, we see more clearly. When one horse is sick, the whole stable refuses to eat. Compatriots. And you, what do you think about human compassion in times of hardship? Please share the emotions and stories that impressed you the most. In conclusion, Han Ho and the team would like to send the audience wishes of peace and happiness. May the storms pass soon, so we can return to our busy and joyful daily lives. Now, we bid farewell and look forward to seeing you in future videos.
If the veil stirred, subscribe and meet the next encounter.